Welcome. This marks the final Evenings with Aaron for the spring. We'll pick it up again in September. We've now been doing this for 34 years, which is pretty wonderful. It kind of amazes me. 34 years is just a minute. I'm going to start the audio file. Evening with Aaron, June 14th, 2022. And we've been doing this since the fall of 1989. 34 years. I remember those early years. The only announcement was a little handwritten flyer. Nobody had computers, at least I didn't. A little handwritten flyer hung on the bulletin board at Crazy Wisdom. And saying, Evening with Aaron, spiritual inquiry. All are welcome. And people showed up. We'd open the, Hal was the one who would open the door, introduce himself. People sitting in our living room. And a few of you are still here from back in 1989, 1990. It was a wonderful group. We were all new to this and asking, well, who are we? Why are we here? Aaron, why are we here in incarnation? And the questions were fresh and refreshing. So a lot of joy in doing this through all these years. So I was tired today. And about 5:30, I lay down to take a nap. Set my alarm. I asked Aaron as I was falling asleep, what are you going to talk about? And I forgot to press record. Talking about the longevity of this program since 1989. As I set my alarm and about to take a nap, I asked Aaron, what are you planning to talk about tonight? He said, waking up. So I went to sleep. Before my alarm went off, I had to wake up to my alarm. It's a vibrating disc that is unpleasant. So I came awake 5 minutes before it was to ring. And Aaron said to me, wake up, wake up. We're going to talk about waking up. You need to wake up. He reminded me of a poem by Rumi, and I was just looking for it on the internet, but I can't find the whole poem. It goes something like, wake up, wake up. The morning breeze has secrets to tell. Wake up. You have slept for thousands and thousands of years. Why not wake up this morning? Okay, I'm out of here and Aaron will come in. My blessings and love to you. I am Aaron. Barbara has had 3 weeks now of speech therapy. We've been looking at the sounds that are awkward in her mouth because she doesn't hear them. The places she swallows endings of words, but also the sounds like sound, the O-U-N-D, sound, and the ways she's habitually, gradually come to mispronounce such words. Not hearing. So we're trying very hard I am trying hard to pick up what the speech therapist has been teaching Barbara, since I am using Barbara's body, and to making an attempt to speak more clearly. We'll see how it goes. Waking up. That's what all of you really are here, the incarnation, to do. To wake up. A little later in the evening, we'll discuss why you might want to wake up. Let's begin with, what does waking up mean? Imagine yourself first coming into some degree of awareness, lying face down on a circle of earth. You are wearing glasses that magnify. So all you can see in front of you is this one circle of earth. Things are a little blurry if you look anywhere beyond this circle. The thought comes, here I am. And here I am within this circle. I must be a circle dweller. This is my home. You look at the bits of dust, little bits of glitter, of tiny bits of rock, maybe even a few blades of grass. You just lie with your chin on your head. Look at me. This is my world, people think. There is nothing else, nothing beyond this. It's interesting. You watch for minutes, for an hour, for 2 hours, and then you fall asleep. You wake up again, the same circle of dirt. Yes, this is what I woke up to before. This is where I live. I don't know who I am. This is where I exist. So you pay attention. You sleep again. You wake up again. About the 5th time through this, you see a little ant crawl across the dirt. What is it? I've never seen anything like that before. Where did it come from? Where does it go? So instead of keeping your eyes straight ahead on the circle of dirt, you begin to follow the ant. You see it move out beyond the easy circle of your vision. So you turn your head and you see beside you, there's another bigger patch of dirt. My world is not the only world. There is more. And you watch the ant. You notice that there are many ants where that ant has gone. Now you have learned something. There is more to the world than I thought. Not just more than one circle, but more than one being. Because I am here and the ant is here. And then many ants are here. You watch them come and go. Curious, you begin to follow that first ant. It comes home carrying a tidbit in its mouth. And then it turns around and begins to move out again through your circle and somewhere else. There is still more, not just my circle, the ant's circle, but somewhere else. Gradually, you open your vision from the small area of focus into an ever larger area of focus, becoming aware. There are many sentient beings. You continue to lie here on the dirt, watching the ants come and go, bring food home, seemingly take care of each other. You look at yourself. You don't have a mirror. But you look at your hand and you think, well, I am not an ant. So there are at least two species. You follow the ant one day, out and out, just a little distance, but you've been focused like this with blinders. You come to the base of a tree. Here is another bee. The ant climbs up the tree, and that leads you to lift your eyes. Going up and up, it's big. You start to notice that there are leaves on the ground. You notice a squirrel. You notice an acorn from the tree that is on the ground and sprouting, cracked open. Small roots coming out. Gradually, you become aware that your world is inhabited by many beings in relationship to each other. So your perspective has opened from narrow, just self, to self and the ant, self and the tree, and the squirrels and the birds, and there's ever so many beings. You're back resting in your original circle, eyes closed, when you feel something brush by. You open your eyes, and there is another you, just like you. That human sleepily opens its eyes, is a bit startled to see, and asks, "Who are you? And where are we? Is there only the two of us? You reply, no, there are ants and squirrels and trees and birds, ever so many beings. I don't see any. Well, you will when you wake up a bit. We keep waking up. First to discover quote, the other, and then evolve to the reality that there is no other. There are only the myriad pieces of self, expressing as tree and its cloud, a sunbeam and raindrop, as squirrel, as caterpillar and butterfly, as human. So you begin to understand these are all expressions of something. I don't know what. But I can feel that we are all interactive with each other. I will learn more about the others who dwell on earth. You begin this study, getting to know the earth around you and all the beings who dwell on it. You gain some reassurance in your understanding. Things come into being and seem to grow and live, and then eventually they die. But you see from the world around you that nothing really dies. You see it in the giant tree on the forest floor, decay. And then new sprouts from the seeds of that tree, growing into the decayed matter. You see it in the generations of squirrels and rabbits. You see it in the metamorphosis of the butterfly. Everything growing and passing away and then becoming again. It may lead you to ask, then who am I? And it leads to a deep reassurance that you too are connected to everything. Gradually, you are waking up, become more aware of who you are and of the world around you. You have developed the habit when you rise in the morning to sit quietly and just breathe and be present. One day, as you are doing this morning habit of breathing and presence, everything around you seems to slow down. The breath slows down. The mind slows down. You begin to see the world in a new way, to see each moment awaken out of prior conditions, blossoming, passing away. over and over. In that moment of insight that everything is arising out of conditions and passing away, you acknowledge, I also have arisen out of conditions. When those conditions cease, I will cease. But I have also seen that nothing ever ceases. It just takes a new living place and a place of expressing. I am not born. I do not die. How amazing. I simply am, expressing in one form or another. I am. The friend who was with you at the beginning and who was going back to sleep, he opens one eye and says, are we done yet? What's happened? I have so much to tell you. You are a human, right today. And you have come into this form, expressing a radiance, if you will allow it. And when this human form is done, you will move back into that totality of everything and then express again in another way. This one looks at you. Are you crazy? All we're doing here is lying in the dirt under this tree. No. Well, I don't see it. So you say to your friend, you have not yet started to wake up. The friend asks, are you awake? I don't know. Am I awake? I'm more awake than I was last year. In other words, I have deeper insight into the nature of a being and how I co-create that. I have greater understanding of the power I have to live with love, with loving kindness, with fear. I have greater understanding of the essence from which I express. So I guess I am a little bit awake. And one being a little bit awake, is that like the old saying, one cannot be a little bit pregnant? Can one be a little bit awake? One is always awake, but not yet aware of that awakeness. So it's not the awakeness, but coming to know the experience of the awakeness and the power of the awakeness. The power to do good in service to all beings, with power to destroy, the power to love and hold that ground of love, with the power to hold a ground of fear and destruction, the power to know your interbeing with all else, and to refuse to acknowledge that connection, still believing that you are separate. You are unique, yes, but separate, never. So all of these are part of waking up. For 34 years, I've been talking to you all about waking up. The wonderful news, you are waking up. You've picked your head up out of the dust. You've observed the world around. You've been willing to see your interconnections with that world, both the wonder of those connections and the responsibility of those connections. You have begun to understand, to deeply understand, the nature of suffering, what causes it, and where freedom lies. You have chosen that path to freedom. When you ask, what next step? There is no next. This is a non-linear experience. There is only this moment. What next is more the peeling of the onion, going deeper and deeper to find that you are what you have been searching. You are love. You are light. You are joy. You are connection. You are that. There is nothing else. Is there not a ground, a source for these? Yes, and you are part of the source. And when that source ends, you ask, that source is unlimited. It is enduring. It does not end. It simply expresses itself in many different ways. So then you come to me in recent years saying the earth is destroying itself. Will the earth die? Will we all die? If the earth destroys itself, it will be sad, because the earth has the potential to be such a beautiful schoolroom. But if the earth dies, the divine essence that is expressed through the earth and its innumerable beings, that divine essence will continue. That divine essence will continue. You are the expression of that essence. Right here, right now. So some of you tell me, I don't feel like an expression of the divine. I feel afraid and lost and angry. That too. The divine, the infinite, has no duality. Right there with light is darkness. Right there with expansiveness is contraction. Right there with love is fear. Right there with understanding is denseness and confusion. How would you know the light if you never experienced darkness? How would you know spaciousness if you never experienced contraction? This waking up business, it's a long, slow process. Each time you open your eyes, literally or conceptually, and look around and say, who am I? What is the greater truth of my experience? You wake up a little bit more. Each time you look at the darkness around you, the hatred, the environmental destruction, the wars, and you say, I don't want that. And you put your face down into the dust again. You close off the possibility of learning, that learning for which you came, that open, that which I call the divine, the essence. It expresses through you, so magnificent if you give it a chance. That lovely poem, I am the place where God shines through. What is God, you ask? That which is shining through you right now. But anger is coming through me, you might say. Ah, yes, right there with anger. Can you find the love, the spaciousness, the joy? Sometimes I can find it, sometimes not. So does that mean only sometimes is God expressing through me? God is infinite and non-dual. So it expresses through joy and also through darkness, through sorrow, and through every seeming dual expression. Whatever you are experiencing, even hatred or greed or fear, this also is an expression of the divine. There is no duality. That means that whatever is expressing through you in this moment can take you back into the heart of God. If you do not fear and hate what is expressing, but open your heart, your mind, your eyes, and say, what is this? What is this feeling? This darkness, this confusion. I hold it and look for the divine. So you look around at beings who are caught up in seeming darkness. And gradually you begin to find that there is also love in these beings. You drop away the dualities. Now you are waking up. Are you ever fully awake? Well, yes. But you nod off again. You're awake, you're present, and then it becomes a little overwhelming and gone. And then something shakes you. And you wake up again. Oh, I fell asleep. I choose to live my life awake. So I will explore what puts me to sleep and what helps me to remain awake. Because you are so deeply committed to living your life in non-harm to others and with kindness. You pay more and more attention. You get caught in the darkness far less frequently. You are more settled in the light and spaciousness. But there's still an attachment and a preference. I like the light, I don't like the darkness. The next stage of awakening is to drop the duality. You like the light, you prefer the light. What is darkness? When you look into the darkness, is there anything there but light and other expressions of light, such as contraction and darkness? The light is radiant, but right there with the light is that which is not light. There is no duality, because you have to look into the darkness to know the light in the darkness. When you look deeply in the places of darkness within yourself, the places for which you have condemned yourself, feeling jealous, or pride, greed. When you look in, you see a human being that wants so badly to love and to serve others, and is disturbed because, as part of its humanness, fear arises, and thus grasping arises. In this process of waking up, great waves of compassion come for this human that goes through these cycles of love and of discordance, of light and of darkness. Each time there is a place of seeming darkness, you'll find that you come out of it a bit faster, not held there so deeply, because you are waking up. This is really all I have taught for 34 years. That if you pay attention, you will find that essence of light and love right here in your heart. And then you will find it in those around you. You will also find not an essence, but the fear-based expressions of anger or greed here in yourself. And you will find it in those around you. You will have come to a place of compassion for yourself when these arise, and for others, and then ceased to judge them, that these kinds of experiences arise with them. You'll be able to nod at them and say, oh, you're having an angry time right now. I know how hard that is. I hear you. I'll sit here with you and help hold space for your anger. The other person may feel you're being false in a sense, judging. They say, well, don't you get angry? Oh, yes. Anger arises in me also. I understand, and it's so painful. So I will sit here and keep you company with your anger. It will pass. What you're saying may anger your neighbor to the point that he comes over and starts hitting you. You want to hit him back. But a great wave of compassion for both of you, for entering into this human experience. This compassion sweeps over you. Love sweeps over you. You are waking up. You are not caught in the recurrent cycle of anger, fear, attack, closing down, but instead anger, fear. Certain catalysts have come. They're uncomfortable. Oh, I am awake. I will hold the place of compassion for myself as I move through this experience of pain. I will see that it grows out of conditions, is impermanent, and watch it pass away, leaving only the compassion, only the light. When you do that over and over again, eventually you begin truly to understand the essence of love, expressing as light, as joy, as generosity. That is the heart of everything. As time passes and you ask, who am I? What am I? You will begin to be able to answer yourself with increasing certainty. I am an expression of the divine in all its aspects. Why am I here, you ask yourself? I am here more fully to express this divinity and raise the vibration of this world where I and others are experiencing these things, until the high vibration of this world raises to a point that which is highly negative and contracted finds it an unsuitable place to be and releases itself, moving the earth into a higher density, a higher vibration. And on this earth, this new earth, you may ask, will there never again be hatred or fear? Well, of course there will. But they will not have a resting place. They will not be able to flourish. I cannot predict the future. I don't know what the earth of 1,000 years hence will do. But if all beings have come to a higher vibration, truly knowing their non-dual nature with each other, truly grounded in compassion and loving kindness, and in awe at their diversity, then I think that much that is negative on us will have ceased to look for a home. And then you might ask, will they just have gone someplace else? Yes. And some other world will have the opportunity thusly to evolve. But of greater importance, there will be this orb that we call Earth, shining, radiating light, truly a beacon of high vibration, of love and light to the whole universe. A proof that beings can wake up, can hold the intention for positive polarity, to live in love, to live with connection, with respect, with reverence. Imagine if there were another planet where that had happened, and it was pointed out to you. Do you think you would feel a bit more hopeful about your human situation? So you have the opportunity to demonstrate this. You demonstrate it not by avoiding your humanness, but by holding this humanness as precious. that you have physical sensations, you have thoughts, you have emotions, and that you are not slaves to these things, but rather there is the opportunity to, moment by moment, to choose to be the radiance that you truly are, to be awake, to live that awakeness. For me, wake up, wake up. You have slept for millions of years. The morning breeze has secrets to tell you. Wake up. Why not wake up this morning? So it's the end of 34 years of speaking about this over and over. I love you so much for your persistence and commitment to waking up. You are beautiful, and I love you. It's not easy to wake up here on earth, but it is very important, very valuable work. You are beloved. Don't tell me you can't do it, because you are doing it. Wake up. We look at the various meditation practices that support awakening. People ask me, can I wake up without such practices? Basically, no. There's a variety of practice. It doesn't have to be this one or that one. But if you are not paying attention, when you wake up, the practices are simply tools to presence, tools to finding the innate love, wonder, joy deep within the human self, and cherishing it. And then going deeper to find the source from which you are expressing, the source of that wonder, joy, and love. Who is it? What is it? The divine is the best name I can give it. Love. You don't want to suppress anything, nor do you want to enact it. There's a middle ground where you know that rage has arisen. You feel separately from the rage, the desire to enact it because it's powerful, or the desire to suppress it. You become aware of those movements in yourself. And with practice, you become much more at ease with holding space for any emotion, recognizing because of the conditions, this emotion has arisen. Because of my deep intention to do no harm, I choose not to enact this emotion on other people. I will simply sit and hold space and breathe with it until it dissolves, because since it's arisen from conditions and your kindness and patience help it to dissolve. Eventually, it will dissolve. But if you say, no, no rage, that's just more rage. That contracted energy helps keep a fire burning under the rage. The more you are able to hold compassion for yourself, knowing out of these conditions, strong anger or fear or greed, judging mind, these have arisen. I am human, and so these continue to arise, but I will hold space until they dissolve. And then I will not feel the impulse to enact them on others. It's important to remain aware that saying no to somebody who has been hurtful to you, setting limits, is not an expression of anger, but of kindness and love. So my suggestion here does not mean that you let other people run over you and harm you. But you ask yourself, who and what is saying no in this moment? If it's fear, if it's anger, rage, maybe I needed to just sit and breathe and be present with that emotion for a bit until it's not so powerful, until I can find right there with the rage, loving kindness and compassion. And then allow the compassion to say, no, you may not beat me, you may not heat me, you may not heat me. No, but it's said with kindness. That beautiful line from the Dhammapada, Buddhist scripture. Hatred never resolves hatred. Only love resolves hatred. This is the truth, ancient and immutable. So we find the place of compassion in the self right there with the rage, by being compassionate to the self, not judging the self. You'll find that the anger does dissolve. Any of you, are you more awake now than you were 10 years ago? Yes. Does that give you hope that you'll be more awake in 10 years than you are now? That's it. People ask me about awakening experience, but you still have to live it. The experience is just the opening of the door. What do you do with that door once it's open? The whole world comes through the door. How do you live that awakening experience?
Hello, Aaron. This is Julian. I have a question.
Yes, Julian.
Regarding, I feel more awake now than I was 10 years ago. And being more awake does not automatically eliminate my experience of human suffering, of feelings of failure, feelings of regret and remorse, feelings of making mistakes, feelings of fear. And I look around at other people who, especially who are experiencing very challenging conditions. Even in a general sense, we can look at the recent conditions of the stock market and the Bitcoin environment, where people are losing vast amounts of money day by day by day, and may easily be thinking, what a fool I was to invest, what a fool I was to put my savings there, what a fool I was to believe in this, and now my life is in ruins. I'm not going to be able to pay my rent or live in a better place, or help my mother with her health care. I mean, there's so many ways that the conditions in the world are in a sense offering us to suffer in new ways all the time. And so where I am very much more awake with my practice and my studies and the teachings that I receive from you and others, I'm much more aware of what is going on with my thinking. I'm much more aware of how to practice observing thought and realizing that there is this identification with the mundane self, and that identification with the self is generating suffering. I'm awake more so than I was even a few years ago, or even 6 months ago, but yet I still have these experiences where I can have a grinding in the pit of my stomach that says, you really screwed up. And so, and this is a question for myself, but really a general question for all of us. In a sense, my little self is saying, so what good is it to be more and more awake if I still have all these problems? Thank you.
Thank you, Trudy. What good is it? Because as one keeps practicing, one eventually says to that self-blame, to the judging mind, oh, you again. Come sit and have tea. It just becomes the same old familiar story. And you're on to yourself. And you see how if I take this path, I am going to suffer. If I watch how this whole story arises out of conditions again and yet again, and I find the love in my heart to say, no, I am not going there. No. Every being has their own unique karmic patterns. A big part of liberation experience is coming to clearly see those patterns and just say, no, I'm not going to do it again. It's like somebody who is addicted to gambling. And they see the casino sign light up and they say, I'll just play one game. I'll play 2 games. I'll play 20 games. I'll stop. But they can't stop because they're addicted. You are addicted to the judging mind, all of you, to the comparing mind, to the negative mind. And it leads to suffering. Each time you notice this and make the clear decision, I am not going there, There's more freedom, and you learn that there can be freedom. This does not mean to cease to reflect. In some way, I did harm to myself or to others. And I have compassionate regret for that harm. I will see clearly into what pulled me into actions and speech that created harm, so as to not get pulled into that path again. This is different than blame. It's wisdom. Your example, the ones losing money. Your world is set up so that there are investments, or I guess you could have put the money under your mattress, where it continues to lose money because of inflation. Basically, money is energy. What if everybody who had some excess money turned around and said, I will give this money out to support others' well-being? Not I will go and feed people, although maybe that also, but I will go help people learn how to feed themselves. I will help people learn how to avoid illness. I will help people to take the different kinds of classes that can help them not get so caught up in anger, to learn how to meditate, for example. I will support whatever systems of belief call to me that can help others. In other words, I will work in the world to offer with generosity for that which will help support peace and suffering. Well, clearly, they would not have lost all their money in the Bitcoin or the stock market. They will see an increase in well-being in the world and think, I am not rich in money, but my life has been well spent. But that's not how people are. They're caught up in, I need more, I need more. I can only quote Yeshua's parable of the lilies of the field. So for those who are caught up in these things, the decline of the stock market becomes a good opportunity to ask yourself, in what do I put my own value of my deepest self-worth? I'm looking at Barbara here, who took a look at these headlines and some of the retirement savings that they live on and hopefully will live on for the next 10 or 15 years. This is in whatever kinds of investment the Retirement Association has it invested in. She said, Hal, it looks like the market is dropping down. Do you want me to get more details about what our investments have, what has happened to our investments? She said, no. She said, I agree. Just let it be. It will go down, it will come up. We are not in control of it. Just let it be. Well, one does not put the money into the mattress. So if one has some retirement plan, it will be, it's not a lot of money for Barbara now, but it will be invested in something, because that's what the university did with it, with their approval. You can't hold on to this. It has no substantial reality. It comes and goes. But genuine loving kindness does not come and go. The deep intention for the highest good of all beings does not come and go. One learns to expect that money will come in. There will be times when the market is big, when it's poor. Where is the love? I'm thinking of that lovely song, give me love in my heart, keep me praising. Give me love in my heart, I pray. Give me love in my heart, keep me praising. Keep me praising till the end of day. Because love is the only thing that always inflicts in value. My friend, I hear more from you than just this question, for example, of the stock market and people losing money. Negative self-beliefs. This is very much a part of the core of one's spiritual practice. Asking oneself, who am I? In what ways do I value myself? In what ways do I truly love myself? What are the loving things I have done in the past 6 months, the past 10 years, this lifetime? In what ways have the value gone up because of the kindness I have shown to others and to myself? Because of the unconditional generosity of the golden coin and of the loving heart. Don't look at the negative, but at the positive. In what ways have I truly cherished myself and others? Rest in that space of self-appreciation and respect. Once you are settled there, turn around and look at the places that believe I am no good. I should have known this. I should have done that. Can you see these as stories? You understand what I mean by story? There are certain repetitive stories that each of you have. What is the story? What do I get out of keeping that story running? If the story were not there, were not strong, what might I be experiencing? I asked somebody this a week or two ago. The story of negating the self. And that person answered me, I really feel joy. And I feel like the world is in such a harsh place right now. I should not feel joy. So I keep the negative story running because I feel ashamed of feeling peaceful and joyful. That may resonate for a few of you. It's okay to be joyful, even with war and stock market crash and environment crash. Joy is holding the world afloat. Be grateful to yourself that there's some degree of joy and peace within you, and offer it out to the world. And to those who have just are this week losing money in the stock market, I'm not quite sure what the Bitcoin is. I've heard of that term, but I don't know much about it. But take stock, no pun intended, of your situation. I won't have the money for this or that. Take a good look at what you have available and then make a large, generous donation to someone who is truly someone or some organization that is truly in need and can truly help others, maybe truly save lives with that. Instead of focusing on, look what I'm losing, focus on, look what I have, and I still have the power to be generous with it, not to impoverish yourself, but to look around for where is this energy that is money? Where is it really needed? These golden coins. How can they change the world in a positive way? I would be happy to speak further on this question to Julian or anyone else. I am reminded of a time when, as Nathaniel, I was walking in the countryside with Yeshua and a small group of people. Robbers attacked us during the night, taking everything, even our sandals and our clothes. We had our undergarments. That was about all. The robbers left, taking the pack animal that we had. We were all awake. They had not taken the wood for the fire. We had a fire. And we said to Yeshua, what will we do? We have no clothes. We have no food. He said, if you had food and clothes, what would you do this morning? Eat breakfast and walk on down the road. He said, well, then I suppose without eating breakfast, we will need to just walk on down the road. But we're in our undergarments. We still need to walk on down the road. Perhaps we'll find others who are not even as warmly dressed as we are. So we walked down the road. We came to a village. They asked, what happened? They were told about the robbers. There was some food given to us. People were poor in that town, but they still offered us cloaks or something to keep us warm, an old pair of sandals for our feet. We walked down the road. We walked all day on just that meager breakfast. We approached what Yeshua knew to be a leper colony. As we approached, we could hear him sing. He asked, he said, I intend to go in. Please join me if you wish. And of course, most of us followed. A few held back. We came in and they had a large pot of stew cooking over the fire. They were singing. People were wrapped in blankets. The moon was shining bright. Mothers were holding children. These people who were sick, who were maimed, who were losing limbs and sight, and yet they were joyful. They could not do enough for us. They offered us stew. They offered us a place to spread blankets. They offered us the blankets. They looked amongst them. They who had so little and found appropriate clothes for each of us. And we sat by the fire with them and sang with them, filled with the blessing of their abundant generosity and love. They who had so little in the material realm. I will never forget the beauty of that night, of sitting with these brothers and sisters affected by leprosy, and yet whose hearts were so open with love. I hear you. You would like it to be different. We all would like everyone around us to be deeply understanding and loving and generous. But let's face it, most people are not yet awake. They are bound in fear. They have not yet learned how to be loving, understanding, and generous. You cannot base what you do on what others do. There's a beautiful statement from Mother Teresa, and I cannot state the whole thing. But she says something like, people will be angry and jealous. Be kind anyhow. People will hurt you. Be kind anyhow. Etc. People will be as they will be. We still all each have the choice to be kind or not to be kind, to be generous or not to be generous. I would like to express two thoughts for you. One is to ask if there is anybody here listening who would like to become a Dharma buddy to you, short or long term, to put it in the chat, to reply to you in the chat and say, I'd like to, we could email each other or Zoom with each other. I'd like to be a support to you and invite you to be a support to me. If there is nobody in the group who responds in that way, that does not mean you are not lovable, only that nobody in the group is in a situation to offer right now. But you can ask, you can invite. The second is, busy though your life may be, stressed though you may have, find some place, a soup kitchen where you can go and serve, or perhaps a hospital where you can go and read stories to children, hospitalized children, or a nursing home where you can go and read or sing or play games with somebody who is very old. Find some way to give of yourself. Do it mindfully. Find the joy in that giving and in that connection, loving connection. Because this is a loving connection, even if it's with a child or a very old person. It doesn't have to be with a Dharma practitioner. See how that works. I want to say something here about those who have lost money in the stocks or the Bitcoin. Barbara and Hal lived carefully through their life. They raised 3 sons and sent them to college. They saved money carefully. Hal worked many years at the university with a retirement account. But after his stroke, The nursing home cost something like $15,000 a month. He could not get on the Medicaid that would pay for the nursing home until his money that he had in the bank went below quite a low amount. The attorney that they hired, the elder care attorney, said, take the money, put it into the necessary renovations for the home so that Hal can live in the home, which will mean that you'll have very little money left, but you'll have a home. It was a scary thing for them to do. Hal less involved in it at that point than Barbara. Now, 4 years later, his mind is sharp and he can say yes and no and understand things very well. But back then, when the stroke was in it really fell on Barbara to make the decision. As she was looking at the money, how many years could we live with this money? But of course, at $180,000 a year for the nursing home, plus whatever other expenses, it would be a year or two and it would be gone. Just to fix the home. So it's a beautiful home. And when it's time to sell it, in a year and 10 years, they will sell it. But for now, it's a beautiful home. And so then hearing about the losses, and as I said, I don't know, she has papers here on her desk. The mail has been coming in. Your account is now worth this much and this much. She opened it the first day. And I said, were you using that money? Not today. Do you need it this month? Not today. Do you need it this year? Yes, it will pay for house caregivers. But this month, no, it's okay. But then just ignore it. Let it go. There's nothing you can do about it. So just hold them in tension. Use the imaginal cells to imagine the well-being for yourself and all others. Know the place that it knows your needs will be met. Somehow you're going to find money to continue house care or some other way that his care will be arranged. Let it go. Now, this is not the answer. If you have something you can do, make a change of some sort. But for right now, just let it go. What keeps you going back to the question? What will happen? What will happen? Ah, hello. That song, Hello Darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. How many times are you going to go back? Hello darkness, my old friend. Repeat, repeat, repeat. In this moment, I choose to set down the darkness. I choose not to be drawn into the stories of darkness, of the world that is despair, filled with war and environmental disaster, disease. I will take care of these things in my own life and in the world in the most loving way I can to myself and others, but not be drawn into stories of darkness. I believe that song has the line, the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls. I have often found that a very powerful line. subway walls, the tunnels through the darkness. And yet one has the right. Barbara has a very small but lovely garden. She made the decision that she wants flowers to grow there. She has what started as a sprig or two of a mint, which took over. So each spring she says to the mint, I am sorry, you can grow anywhere else in my yard, but not in my garden. If you arise in my garden, I'm going to pull you out. You have free will choice to come up here and know I will pull you out, or to go elsewhere. And then she greets each, as she plucks it, she says, may you be well. And she pulls it out. She doesn't judge herself for doing that. In a similar vein, she has told the ants that come into our house every spring, you may not be here. If you come in, I'm going to set out ant traps because you cannot be in my food. But I have a whole yard out there and you're welcome to be in my yard. Please go. Or please note that there will be poison. I've noticed that as she does this with much clarity and without judgment of herself, fewer and fewer ants appear in her house. Those who do come, they have been given an option to go into the yard where there is space and food for you, or not. I think it's important here that if you set out the ant trap, you are not killing the ant. You're giving the ant the free will choice to eat of that poison or not. It can be done without hatred of the ants, with compassion for the ant and compassion for yourself. This is really part of the movement of waking up, to see the judging mind. The judging mind. It arises out of old habit and conditions. You acknowledge it, but you don't have to make it active in your life. But still living in the human body, you must make choices. Do you use this product or that, this fruit or that? What do you say to the person who is throwing rocks at your dog? Or I'm trying to think of some kinds of offensive behavior. Just the drivers who plow through too fast, creating a dangerous condition. You don't have to judge. You don't have to hate. But the more you can, within your heart, acknowledge the anger, wish them well, wish them diminishment of their fear, of their aggression, so that they may calm down, not suffer so much. The more you can do that, the less you will suffer. My love to you all. I will look forward to seeing you again in September. I wish you a beautiful summer, filled with love and sunshine, with fresh rain, which the flowers need to grow, with everything good, and all the challenges you need also in order to grow. May you be happy. I will release the body to Barbara. Thank you, Ann. Love to you all. Good night. I am going to spend a week or two just being a bit more quiet because it's a busy year. And then in July, start working with Aaron on the class for the fall and what we're going to do with the full retreat and so forth. And I look forward to exploring these things with spirit and coming up with what I hope will be some wonderfully invigorating and sustaining and heart-opening plans for our full work together.